All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking with an individual throwing down a BKFC 63, which goes down on August 3rd, and a fight that I've certainly been wanting to see for quite a while. We have Zach Calmus knuckling up and toeing the line against Ryan Shough, and great having Ryan on the show to talk a bit about that. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm fantastic. And yeah, this fight's kind of it's been, on the papers and in talks for I'd say going on about 2 years, honestly. I truly thought that Calmus was gonna possibly be my debut, and then I ended up getting Sanchez instead, and then I had surgery and blah blah blah. But we're finally here and it's finally happening. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I was actually looking back at just that whole situation, just like the last time we had spoke, we touched on that, just how highly you spoke of Calamus at the time, and you were supposed to fight March of last year, as you were kind of saying, and everything like that. And you were talking about, oh, I'm like a big fan of the guy. It's like not a disrespectful call out. I just feel like it's like a fireworks fight of the year kind of fight. So
Absolutely.
great we could finally get her going.
Yep, that's fight of the year is what gets us fed. So that's, I'm trying to call out the guy that's gonna, invite me to that kind of a dance. And that's Calmus is exactly it. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but yeah, absolutely.
And just what an event for it to happen on too. I guess things kind of work out in ways where it's almost like, oh yeah, it kind of worked out for the better in a certain sense.
Absolutely.
Just
It was
yeah,
meant to
just
be. I got to put myself through a 10-week camp. So, I'm actually fully ready to go. No, we're not jumping off the couch, just from getting a call for it. We actually had a full training camp. So that's much needed.
yeah, no, for sure. And the last time we were speaking was before your bare knuckle debut, and you were kind of referencing, or it was rather after your debut, where you were talking about the differences between the debut and the upcoming sophomore bare knuckle fight you had at the time. And you were really stating how you were going all in on just the sport of bare knuckle because you fought in MMA and gloved boxing before. And I was seeing in another interview you had kind of like subverted some of the BJJ from your, I guess, like weekly general preparations and just doing a lot of like bare knuckle heavy bag with jump rope. Like, have you made any amendments to your training since then? Like, is it like largely, yeah.
This camp I actually added back in going my Monday practice used to be like wrestling and kind of boxing, and I actually started going back in for that and put the wrestling shoes back on, and I think it's helped tremendously getting me just back in shape. Wrestling is it's a different kind of grind, different kind of shape you got to be in, to be able to just sit there and wrestle for 5 minutes straight or 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, does that help for the kind of pace you need to put up in bare knuckle? Like obviously different stylistic considerations, but it seems like it's like a whirlwind for the entirety of the 10-minute duration if it were to go the full distance.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of everything other sport that I've done, I would say like actually like wrestling, like high school style, point wrestling or folk style wrestling would be the closest like to, the pace or the exhaustion that we get from bare knuckles pace. Because
Yeah, and
it's a 10-minute sprint.
yeah, for sure. I've heard some people, I think it was Artem Lobov actually. He kind of said it was like being thrown into a blender, which I think is a fair way to kind of describe it.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious to get your thoughts on just like the surrounding dynamics of the fight, just with it being at the Sturgis motorcycle rally and everything like that. I mean, a lot of people really excited about it in the sense that it could attract potentially the biggest crowd BKFC has ever had. Is that something you find especially exciting?
Oh, like absolutely. It kind of reminds me of I'm hoping for, like 1920s Jack Dempsey style, just millions of people surrounding the ring. It gives me goosebumps, and just to be part of something historic like that, to be part, to have a picture of the crowd in the ring. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and a thing that I was kind of thinking with the fight is that it could potentially bring in so many new fans. Like obviously like the broadcast elements for the card, like the usual hardcore bare knuckle fans are going to be checking things out, but just the people in attendance, like there could be like a lot of, motorcycle enthusiasts who are out there and, taking it in for the first time. I feel like the fights on the card are kind of strategic in that sense, like in terms of like being appealing to someone who's seeing it for the first time. Like I feel like your fight with Calmus would really draw in a new person who's never seen it before. Like, wow, these guys are really throwing down here.
We look like we're two, I don't even know, like two of the baddest guys in a motorcycle gang. And, you picked us two and we're like, yep, we're fighting for a gang war. Same with Josh Burns and rounds. Like that's the kind of fight that, we got on this card. Or not just Sam Shoemaker. There we go. That fight. But Watson, there we go. Watson and Roundtree. But all three of the heavyweight fights are all bangers of just, pick the baddest dude in the room and let's have those two fight.
Yeah, and that was something I was noticing too, because I did a sit down, like face off kind of interview with Josh Burns and Sam Shoemaker like a few days ago. And it seems like there's a very, I guess, like heavyweight centric kind of matchmaking consideration, not even just for the card, but going forward. Like I could easily see some of the winners of these different heavyweight fights being matched with each other on a future card. Like you said, Burns and Shoemaker running it back, and then Watson versus Roundstone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Bare Knuckle's truly trying to build, a better or a heavyweight division because I mean, truly heavyweights, we're the most exciting fighters to watch on the planet. You can't blink, especially in Bare Knuckle. You can't blink. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and I feel like this fight definitely fits that description. Like I feel like both of you really, yeah, just bring that approach to the table and everything like that. And obviously, there's a lot going into this fight, so not overlooking it. But I just saw a BKFC article where you were talking about how your long-term goal is to be the heavyweight champion. I feel like a win like this could certainly like vault you into that like rankings conversation, or even like just slightly outside top five.
Yeah, Calmus being in the top five, I want everything he has right now. Nothing personal. Idols become your rivals, and we're gonna build each other up. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Definitely a very exciting fight to see come together. And you've already been in there with some heavy hitters. Like, I mean, we spoke the last time, and I mean, it was ultimately in gloved boxing, but the fact that you had some ring time with a former BKFC heavyweight champion in Alan
Absolutely.
Belcher, like, I'm sure there's something you can glean from that, even though it's like a different combat sport ultimately.
Yep, absolutely. Being just, there's levels to this, and there truly is. And I'm just excited to show what level I'm on now. We've leveled up the past few months.
Yeah, where do you really notice that in? Like, is there a particular area where there's been like even pronounced growth? I mean, I imagine there's like a well-rounded kind of sense of leveling up and being prepared, but is there a particular area of growth you notice at all?
I would say honestly, just being in shape, cardio shape. Just what Michael Bisping, he said it in his book. Once you know how to fight, you know how to fight, but you got to have cardio. You know, you don't have cardio, you're tired after 2 minutes. You ain't nothing. And I know Calmus's plan is most likely to drag me into deep waters. That's what he likes to do. So we're prepared for it, and we're welcoming those later rounds.
Yeah, I feel like just checking out some of your Instagram stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like road work, like running through the woods
Yeah,
with some training compatriots and whatnot. So, yeah, I'd love to see it, man.
yeah, that's this fight camp. This has been the first camp that I've actually woken up, had an alarm for waking up for road work, putting in the miles before the sun comes up kind of thing, or right before work, putting in, 8 miles on the bike and stuff like that. So definitely trying to put it in.
Yeah, I mean, it comes across, man. And you were referencing doing that before work. Like the last time we were talking, it seemed like you were getting in some work that, I mean, seemed kind of like relevant in a way to some of your preparations. Like you're talking about lugging a lot of like heavy furniture and washers, and you're like, oh, I'm noticing a bit of a change in the body. Like, are you still working there, or like what's the
Yeah,
situation there?
yeah, I was up in till last week actually. They actually let me go in hopes of this fight and just letting me chase my fighting career. Basically, they really were hoping that this really elevates me to the next level, gets me a contract, and I want to be fighting 4 or 5 times a year.
No, that's awesome, man. That's great to hear. It seems like you're really going all in on the endeavors going forward. Like, not that you didn't dedicate yourself to previous
Yeah,
combat sports efforts, but it seems like you're really putting a lot into like the foreseeable future and all.
absolutely, we're right there. We're real close. Everything we want is within grasp. So it's just a waiting game now.
Yeah, and you were working out of Ohio Combat Sports and Fitness, I believe, the last time, and that seemed to be just like the general thread for you, like that Ohio fitness and martial arts space. Like I'd
Yeah.
even in our last chat referenced the 10-year challenge, and you were still getting in work at that great gym. I imagine that really breeds a certain level of something. Like I love just the stories of fighters who are like progressing in their career and doing these different things, and they have like this, I guess, communal tie into like the same space all throughout. It's cool to see.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's awesome. That's truly my girlfriend and I actually we've been talking about moving possibly. And with that being said, though, I'm finally hitting perfect strides with the gym and all that. That it makes that decision a little bit difficult because the gym is perfect at the moment. My training partners, I got 4 to 5 heavyweights that are great. Get great rounds every week. So
I was gonna say, are they like preparing you in a specific way for bare knuckle? Like, I guess how do you even go about curating the work to get ready for a bare knuckle fight? Because I do find that to be such an intriguing part of this sport because it is relatively kind of newer, like at least the modern era version of
I'm
it. Like, how do you go about doing that, I guess?
mainly just boxing rounds, and truly one weird thing you would think is doing the 2 minutes, versus where the average MMA gym, they're going to be sparring for a 5 minute round, but you do, three 2 minute rounds, you're going to be more exhausted than you are after that one 5 minute round because the pace, because I get to stop in 2 minutes, so I get to throw punches for nonstop for 2 minutes straight. That's what I'm truly, my goal is to be able to throw punches for 12 minutes straight without getting tired.
Yeah, and like you were saying before, it seems like all the ingredients are there to get to that point, just like the cardio considerations and stuff like that. So yeah, no, love to hear that, man. Glad to hear you're looking to, I guess, have that active schedule going through
Yeah.
the year. Like, what's the, I guess, contractual kind of dynamics with BKFC, if you don't mind my asking? Like, are you kind of locked into a multi-fight deal? Like, you've already had a few fights in
Nothing,
BKFC,
nothing
but yeah.
yet. I think they just like, what they see here and they're hoping, to see something. I think they've been waiting for me to fully dedicate, like you said, waking up at, 7 a.m. and running before work kind of thing. They wanted to see that. And I'm going to show them, how hard I've been working this fight.
Yeah, it's just so exciting. And I feel like the timing is everything too. Like I was even saying that in the context of it being in front of such a huge crowd, but I just feel like the momentum component as well, because just the streak that I've been noticing that, your opponent Calmus has been on just like the last three fights, getting consecutive stoppages all through that 3 fight stretch there. So yeah, a win here would definitely give you a certain level of momentum to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Raise my stock back up.
But I mean, even that being said, though, I feel like you probably do learn a lot from those experiences. Like, I mean, someone like Perdomo, for instance, I mean, he's just been going on such a tear as of late
Right.
and whatnot. And just, I mean, even the Joe Ray fight, I imagine there was something you could glean from that experience as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Joe fight definitely calming down, keeping my adrenaline under wraps and stuff like that. Walking out and seeing that small ring, it brought somebody out of me that I didn't even know existed. I just wanted to freaking scrap. That's all I wanted to do. But and with that being said, too, my last 2 fights, my weight cut has been kind of rough. I said yes to both fights when I was weighing around like 315 or so, out or so. And this fight, I'm down. I'm 265 right now, so no weight cut. I'm not. My last 2 fights, I lost in the weight cut, and I'm hoping I can really show, that we're here to stay and ready for the big opportunity of getting a freaking. I want a contract.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a really cool time in the career, a good time to be chatting with you. And I guess I've been kind of tying in a few of these references to the last time we talked, but I did think it was kind of relevant in the sense of your nickname was previously Superman. And when we were speaking, you were like, oh, yeah, like my whole family came out. And it was like the early part of my fight career. They were all wearing Superman shirts. And you were kind of saying it in a way where you're like, yeah, I'm kind of trying to get away from the nickname a little bit, but like, if it sticks, it sticks. And you said you were open to another moniker, which from what I can tell, it looks like the nickname now is the Zombie Cowboy. Like, can you talk about the general timeline with the nickname shift and just the backstory on this new moniker?
Honestly, it was just my coach and I kind of talked. He really wanted me. After my grandpa passed away, and I think 2017, I took on his cowboy hat and like started wearing that to my walkouts. And my coach, basically Scott, he told me that I needed to tie in the cowboy hat because he thought it really brought out my personality and just you can tell that just my second personality kind of comes out when I put the cowboy hat on. The zombie cowboy comes out. That's what it is. It's different. I'm looking for blood, looking for brains.
Yeah, I love that, man. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's such a good fit. It's cool to hear there's like kind of a personalized backstory element to it as well. So, yeah, no, I love that, man. It's good to represent the family lineage through what you're doing. So, I love to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just been quite a road, man. Like I was seeing that a few years ago, you had kind of started with like the Arizona tryouts and everything like that. And just what a journey it's been from then leading into now. It's just been cool to see.
Yeah, if I could tell myself, 3 years ago where I'd be now, I truly want to believe myself that I'd be fighting Zach Calmus at Sturgis Bike Week. Freaking insane.
Yeah, so stoked for the fight, man. I mean, just one of those fights that looks so good on paper. And I mean, definitely even has the potential to, exceed those lofty expectations as well. So, yeah, so glad that this fight could be rebooked and everything like that because we referenced the prior time that it was attempted and everything like that. But no, it's been great getting to have you on the show, man. I guess just kind of being mindful of your time and what you're getting up to, though. I'm curious if maybe you have a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're sort of wrapping up here. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh no, man! Just thank you for having me. Everybody tune in Saturday night. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, Zach Calmus and Ryan Shough going to be throwing down, and just such a stacked card, well put together event at BKFC 63. I'll definitely be checking in on August 3rd. But thanks so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker and have a good rest of your night and for making time to chat during fight week, no less.
Man, thank you. You have a good one.